You are designed the way that you are on purpose. Hey friends, today I'm going to take you along with me as I work on some stuff for the garden, but I thought first I would kind of show you guys around my yard and show you a little bit of what we have going on and just kind of let you know about my garden. Alright guys, so this is our compost area. It's not the prettiest, but it is functional. Matt put this together. And so what we've been doing over here, you can see this is our compost that has been broken down. It's from last year. We put a lot of dirt from different garden beds we put in and things from the garden and food scraps. So this is what we're using to put over in our garden this year. We brought in last year, this was our first year here at this house, we brought in some organic soil and put it in our raised beds, but we are taking our compost and topping it off. I will go over and show you guys that here in a minute. And this over here is our working compost where we're putting in the leaves and the scraps that we have right now, and that will be ready for next year probably. Alright guys, so this is our garden beds here. Let me show you real quick. See, we went ahead and topped these off with some of the soil from our compost. Let me kind of walk you through what we got going on here. So this first bed is Joshua's. We haven't put much dirt in there, but we topped these off with some of our compost soil here. And this one here is we just started topping it off, you can kind of see. Now one thing I do want to show you guys is we covered our beds during the winter. So these beds here were covered with a tarp that we had. And this one here we did not cover. You can kind of see a little bit of a difference. So when you don't cover them, what can happen is you'll get a lot of weeds in here and leaves and things like that. So that is something we've never done. This was our first year trying it out, and it seemed to work pretty well. When we opened it up, it was just the raw dirt. And the reason why you don't want the weeds, first off, you don't want to have to pull them all up. Nobody likes pulling up weeds. It's no fun at all. But secondly, the weeds will take some of the nutrients from your soil, and you want to keep as much of that in as possible. So we have started a few tomato plants, and also I've got a squash and a zucchini. I have another squash and zucchini inside. I just brought these out to kind of show to you guys. What I want to show you guys now, a lot of people have been messaging me and asking about starting from seed and getting their garden started. So we planted these in these pots. One thing to think about when starting the seeds is you'll want to have drainage. If you don't have drainage, your plants can get overwatered and waterlogged, and they just won't make it. They'll die on you. So make sure that you have good drainage. When you do your seeds, you don't want to water them every day. In my how to start the garden video, I talked about watering every day. That is for when you are outside. But when you're starting seeds, you only want to water when the soil on the top is dry. So this one here is moist, so I won't need to water it today. This one here is dry to the touch, so this is one that I'll need to add a little bit of water to today. And when you're doing your seeds, you'll put a couple of seeds in each pot. You can go check out my husband's video where he starts seeds. I'll link it here, and he talks about starting a few because you never know, they may not all germinate. I probably put way too many in each of these, but that's okay, it's no big deal. Now another thing is you start a few seeds, but then you don't need all of these. If we were to keep all of these in here, they would get crowded and they wouldn't have space to grow, and it would just be too much. So what I'm gonna do, which is one of the most painful things to do as a gardener, at least for me, is I'm going to cut away the ones that are not the strongest and just keep the strong ones. There's a great video by M.I. Gardener where he talks about how to do this. I actually learned something from watching his video. I used to come in here and just pull the ones I didn't want out, but he talks about how that will disrupt the roots. So he recommends coming in with scissors and cutting away the plants that you don't need. So I'm going to show you that right now as I do that. So what we're going to do here is we are going to look for the strongest, tallest plant, which a lot of these are the same. And then what we're going to do is we're just going to come in with our scissors. It makes me want to cry every time. But you just cut away the ones that you don't want to keep. Just like that. I'm going to come in here. I'm going to cut this whole big old thing. Just like that. And you just pull those away. You can throw those in the compost. They're great for the compost. So it looks like I've got about 4 more here. And I just need to get down to 1. So this one's got a little damage on there. Nope, sorry, I was out of focus. This one's got a little damage on his leaf, so I'm just going to snip that one off. You can probably, at this point, I'm just using my fingers. I'm going to snip that one off. And I'm going to come in here. I'm going to snip this one. And I'll just cut away a little bit more. Just makes me want to cry. You know, this looks so much more impressive than this, but this is what you need. So I'm going to go along and do that to all of these real quick. Now another thing that I've learned is if you notice these are swaying in the breeze a little bit. You know, when you start seeds inside, they are very much in a controlled environment. There's no wind, there's no, you know, the temperature is pretty consistent. So one thing I have learned is that you need to do what's called hardening off on your seeds. So that means you bring them out on a very nice day that's similar to what their conditions were inside, and you expose them to a little bit of breeze and a little bit of fluctuation in temperature. Now you want to be really careful with this because you can kill your plants really fast. Trust me, I know, I've done it a whole lot of times. If you bring them out or leave them out and it's super windy, your stems will just crush. So these, I'm not going to expose them very long to this even mild breeze because I don't want their little stems to crush and bend over, because once that happens, it's over. And then you don't want to leave them out in like big rains. Not until they get a little bit more mature and a little stronger. But you do want to introduce them to the elements a little bit more, because what will happen if you just take a seedling like this, planted in the ground, it has not developed the strength that it needs to endure the wind and the elements, because it's kind of been babied inside. So that's something to remember when you're starting from seed. So I drew out my plans of kind of where I want to plant everything. We will try to stick to it as much as we can. We will see. But I decided that this second bed here is going to be where I plant a lot of my cool weather crops. So I've got several things that I want to plant today. So I'm going to go ahead and just break up this soil a little bit. It's kind of rough from the compost, so I just want to break it up just a little bit. It's interesting that this is the box where I'm going to start planting, because the encouraging thing that I wanted to talk to you about today, actually the thought began right here at this place last year. You see, I had been working in my garden and I don't remember what all led up to it, but I was sitting right here in this very spot. So I was sitting here, I was thinking about these seeds, and you take a little seed out, I don't know if you guys can, that little tiny seed. So this little seed has everything it needs within it to become a spinach. And God just spoke to me and said to me clearly, you have everything within you to become the person and to fulfill the plan that I have called you to, that I have for you. And I just began to weep, because I felt like in that moment, and even now, I sometimes feel like I don't have what it takes, that I have to go out and try to muster up something that's not within me and learn and be better. And of course we want to learn and we want to grow and we want to be better. But there was just something encouraging that God designed me for what he intended me to do. He designed me to be Joshua's mom. He designed me with a passion for gardening. He designed me with a passion for teaching and encouraging people. He designed me with all my quirks and silly and goofy stuff. He designed me exactly with what I needed to do what he's called me to do. Now, obviously, there's going to be things that happen, like this seed. This seed won't grow on its own. It's going to need water and sunlight and nurturing, and that's where God comes in, and spending time with God that helps us to grow. And then there's going to be hardships that the seed will go through, just like I was talking about over with seed starting. You have to kind of it has to have some wind to be strengthened, just like we have to go through difficult situations to be strengthened and to mature and to grow. We're going to have all of those things. But I just want to encourage you I just want to encourage you and give you some comfort that you are designed the way that you are on purpose. And I think so often we resist who we are, and we try to change the things about us that make us unique, or we push them down, or we don't think they're good enough, rather than embracing, you know, sometimes I enjoy gardening, I love doing it, but I wonder, what is the significance? How is this changing people's lives? How is this helping people? Is this a selfish pursuit? But God put that passion in me for a reason. I enjoy it for a reason, and I may not fully understand it, but it's okay to embrace the things that give us joy and that we feel like we are designed and created to do, instead of running from them and pushing them away. Now, that doesn't mean that everything that we design to do will be easy, won't challenge us. There will be things that we are meant to do that are hard and do kick our butts a little bit, but we know it doesn't take long for us to really sit and think about our passions to know what we were created to do. So that's my encouragement today, along with all the other garden tips and things, is I just want to encourage you guys that you are made the way you are on purpose. And rather than fighting it and resisting it, embrace it. And ask God to help you learn to love yourself and love how he designed you, and ask him to show you what he wants to use those things for. And learn to be okay with this might just be something just for you. God blesses us with gifts and talents and things just to encourage us from time to time. So I need to remind myself of that God's given me passions for a reason, and it's okay to pursue them, and it's okay to give myself permission. All right, let's plant these seeds.